There we go. Hello. Hello, hello. Today, we're going to be talking about EU5. Shockingly. Crazy, right? I feel emptiness in my heart is the best way I can describe it. Yeah, it sucks. I don't have it in my life anymore, chaps. It's a real kicker. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? I'm sad. I'm mad. But I'm glad I can talk about it with you. How are we doing today, chaps? To mute these streams. Yeah, so today we're just going to be going through a couple of questions people had. We're going to be going through the comments of my videos. We're going to be going through the comments of Hawk's videos. We're going to be also looking at the Reddit. You know, we're not going to be here for too long. Don't worry. It's just going to be a short and sweet little update a week on, and then we'll see where things lie. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. Spanish! How you doing, buddy? Been a little while, huh? Will it run better than EU4? At present, no. There's a lot of optimization problems currently, but I don't know how much I'm allowed to say when I speak to developers and stuff directly. I'll say it because Johan told me it was okay to say. Yeah, they're working on optimization amongst a lot of other things. They're like Johan himself is happy with receiving the feedback from the community and going forward. So yeah, we'll be coming back to do more things for Paradox. What do you mean by that? Like the shoe? I'd love that. That was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I'll actually show you a behind the scenes video as well. Here they did. What are the biggest things you're missing that were in EU4? Country-specific flavor. I would say that there is some amount. There's a lot of dynamic flavor, but I've come around to the public's point of view of that. Does Clemson have flavor? I don't think I've played them. The announcement video didn't justify the hair. Not gonna lie, bro. Come on. I'm about to stop streaming because of this dude. What is that? Are the missions in EU5 like a mission tree system? I think Hawk shows this. Let me bring it up. Because he did a bit of a quite a good job, I think, of showing off everything. All right, let's see here. Because we're not allowed to use new footage, to be clear. Like, so we're all allowed to use 30 minutes, the 30-minute videos that we've produced to create content. We can't make more than that. So let's see. Does Hawk look at the missions? I imagine he would. It's something he would do. Because he goes through damn near every tab. I'm just literally piggybacking off of Hawk. Let's see. Come on, Hawk. Do me a solid, mate. What I will say is they are, for me at least, I didn't touch them in my playthroughs. I started, like when I did at the start. Does he look at them? Oh, there he does. I did at the start look at the I did at the start look at them, but frankly, I think right now what they're designed to do is help the player. There's not the mission system. It's inspired by the mission system in Imperator Rome, but it's not. It's not quite there. If I like CK3 politics, it's EU5 for me ish. There is a little bit of dynastic stuff, but I'm not gonna lie to you and say that there's a lot. If you like it for the roleplay elements, I think EU5 would be good for you, yeah. What mechanics slash areas of the first DLCs would we focus on? Dude, I'm focusing on the release of the game before we look at the start and look at things like DLCs. But yeah. Oh man. In fact, let's start with this. Are we excited from what we've seen? Put a 1 in the chat if you're excited, a 2 if you're not. Just spam it. I want to start to see if people have looked at the announcement now that it's settled 6 days on, and they thought, is it what you were not hoping for necessarily, but like is it interesting? Okay, good. Right. So people are intrigued. Good. Fantastic. Someone said 3. All right, Jakob. All right. Fantastic. Well, let me see about these missions. But yeah, today, like I said, I'm not going to be streaming for too long. I'm going to be sitting here and trying to. Yeah, just answer a couple of questions, go over some things I've seen on the Reddit and the comments of mine and Hawk's videos. And yeah, have you building nations like Lubeck or populating nations in the New World, and how they're getting played if you did? Not as well fleshed out is the best way I can tell you. like they're not as well fleshed out as like obviously the core ones. I'm sure that they'll be fine by release, but yeah. Ever try the colonization mechanics? If you're interested in colonization, I would recommend the student. He did his video on in Greenland, so that's quite a good one. Also, Generalist Gaming, he actually colonized a little bit as Korea, so there's that. Do we know how much it'll cost at launch? Dude, we don't even know when it's going to launch. Best beginner nations. I'd recommend Serbia personally. I think Serbia is a good nation. They're like, I'm not going to get into it, chaps, but there's been some dissension, shall we say, about people's opinions on playing Serbia as a beginner nation for some goddamn reason. What I will say is that, having spoken about it with Johan, he agrees with me that Serbia is a good beginner nation. Johan has said that it's a good beginner nation. He said the QAs have said it's a good beginner nation. Like it's as simple as that, really. It's like a smaller Hungary, which is good. There'll be events for historical leaders throughout the game, like members from the Ultimates. I think like you're looking at flavor. I think flavor is something they can add. Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like coding events. I'm not trying to say it's easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one of the things that you don't need a core system for, and you can just put into the game. You know what I mean? Can you form any countries? Yes, you can. I've seen your part of the video about EU5. Most of it was about economics. Is that the important thing about EU5? It looked really complicated. The reason that my video was on, a lot of it was on the economics. In terms of mechanics, like a lot of it's on economics because that is the underpinning of the system. What I've said to people is that you can talk about EU5 in plain English, and that should give you a decent idea of how things work in terms of control, in terms of economy. Instead of going like, oh, there's a magic number that you have to just bear with me. There's this sword icon, and it represents the total military, you know what I mean? It's hard to explain it to someone. This way you go population, it's economy, it's money. So when we're talking about the economy, it is a complicated system, but you can engage with it as much as you want. Up here, you can see that there's like an automation cog thing, and the automation system basically means that you can automate parts of it and leave parts of it. So there's that. Laith, how much is the game going to cost? I don't know. I don't have that information. Generalist Gaming played the most. Yeah, Generalist definitely played the most. I don't have his permission to show off his video, so I'm not going to. But what I will say is Generalist is very good. He did almost pure economics, whereas the rest of us did a lot of stuff. So there's an almost 3-hour video on economics there if you're interested in that sort of thing. Then this is a 30-minute gameplay where he plays Korea and he tries to go for control and maximizing those things. So he's very good. So yeah, there's that. We're just spamming the hours. Is the game too easy? Depends how you define easy, man. Honestly, I wouldn't say it's necessarily too easy. It's gonna annihilate your laptop, probably. A growth building is even worth it with how fast pops come back, and later on just use Merc's professional armies. I think there's a lot of balancing going on. So I could talk to the game in its current state, but from what I've heard, yeah, there's a lot of balancing. No systems are gonna get changed, I'd imagine, but yeah. Again, this is all speculation. Is the new trading system understandable for mere humans, Laith? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna tell you in basics, as I understand it as a mere human to you mere humans. This is not gonna be a deep dive. I'm gonna explain for those of you who are concerned what is different about the trade system and how it works. Okay. In the game, you have locations. Every location belongs to a market. Within the game, there are loads and loads of markets, and the locations of these markets are dynamic. So let's say you have a London market. The market capital is in London. And then imagine there's like a radiating control level, if that makes sense, a radiating attraction level towards that market. If the pull towards London is bigger than the pull towards Paris, then that is now in the London market. Goods that are produced in the London market are sold on the London market. So one market can have a surplus of goods and it's cheaper, whereas one market can have a deficit where it's more expensive. You can make money by facilitating that trade. Let's say that, I'm just going to say balloons, man. Balloons. This is a green balloon. I shouldn't have picked that up. There. Balloons. Let's say there's a balloon shortage. Obviously, this is in the trade of the game. I'm just explaining it for your benefit. Balloons are worth 5 in the London market. They're worth 2 in the Paris market. What I can do is import balloons from the Paris market if I am in the London market because it's going to make me money in terms of selling the difference, if that makes sense. So there's that. Right. Any vibes on how well multiplayer will work? Do you think multiplayer balance was adequately considered? Cheers, Spanish. I will say that when I played with Hawk, we didn't have a single desync. Not a single desync, not a single problem. I know that there are regular dev games, like multiplayer games, so I imagine that multiplayer is going to be decent from that standpoint. I cannot tell you that I've tested extensively. I can say from my subjective experience, it's pretty decent. How difficult is it to conquer land as a small nation? Like, I'd love to form a remain of it, is it possible? Like, in the same way that how hard is it in EU4, you know, like, it's dependent on the system itself. It's dependent on how you've set up militarily. It's dependent on when you choose your moment, you know? If I throw all of my levies at a full strength, let's say I'm playing as Wallachia in this case, right? If I am playing Wallachia and I'm fighting a full strength Bulgaria and I fight all of my levies versus all of their levies and I just chuck it in, I'm going to lose because they have more levies. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. So what you're saying is trade work a little like Victoria 3. I would say it's more Victoria 3 than EU4, for sure. I prefer it to Victoria 3. Simple as that. Yeah, I like to blob. I only blob while I like this game. I mean, yeah. I would say that there's more to this game than that, if that makes sense. So whereas EU4 fundamentally is get bigger, EU5 there are multitudes of different ways that you can define your own success, whereas in EU4 you sort of had to pretend that there were different ways to limit your success. Ultimately, an Ottomans that conquers half the globe is going to crush you if you are a much smaller nation in EU4. In EU5 it's a little bit more complicated than that. Hello, Lady Magnus. When release? Your guess is as good as mine. I couldn't tell you. It's as simple as that, you know? If you had to choose between EU4 in its current state and EU5 in its current state, would you rather play? EU5. I've been recording EU4 videos, like, to get back into it, and it's not sad, but I feel it, you know? I feel it. Bro, Pickbot, I already said I don't know, and we keep spamming when. Is there a lot of blobbing in EU5, but you feel like playing a bit tallisher than EU4 is best? I would say that EU5 has actual engaging tool gameplay, and I would say that playing tool is it's a viable strategy, whereas in EU4 wide was always going to be better, you know? Outside of Serbia, do you know of any other good beginner nations? In the same region, Hungary. Castile's quite well protected, I would say. That's quite nice. Again, it is entirely dependent on how you want to play it. Hello, Mello. How many provinces would you say exist in this game? Don't make me count. That is a heinous amount. A heinous. How to get EU5 early access? Brother, I'm Googling the same things. What the hell is Turtle Island? I don't remember. Sure. Hey, Laith, I'm personally not hyped about the start date. What's your opinion on it? There's a couple of different ways to look at it. From a content your player point of view, I think it's different, therefore people aren't going to like it. I think that it includes the Black Death, which teaches you that you can have half your country wiped out and to not quit playing, which is interesting. So there's that. So it doesn't seem too bad. I think I'm just used to EU4, so I'm nostalgic. External, hey buddy. What are the stats of the Byzantine rule in air? I don't know off the top of my head. I'll note it down if I get access in future. Disgusting. Is the dynamic Falkland Islands gameplay? Yeah, sure. I bet it. Can't wait to see your videos on it because of how long a game can last. Well, that's interesting you mentioned that, Laith Maze, because it does mean that, like, in 70 years in EU4, you can kind of get through like a good amount of you know, let's get this going. So then we've got some actual moving things behind. In EU4, you can get like through a good chunk of the early game in 70 years, and that's like a decent recording session. And I would say that there is so much content in later game, it's almost gonna make recording harder. So there's that. can you tell us about what it's like playing Hungary? Very fun. That was one of my first games was as Hungary. Right at the start, so you have these like cabinet slots, right, which determine how effective your nation is at doing certain things. And Hungary actually gets +1 right at the start of the game as long as your king is alive, so that's quite powerful, whereas the Ottomans like get 4. It's kind of ridiculous. How hard is it to get into this game? I'm new. Hard, but if you're patient, you'll get it. I think maybe quicker than EU4 because of the automation system, which means that you'll have a good like time with it because you can automate something and see what the AI does. What a tool nation look like in EU5? Hey, external. Playing tool is essentially, well, I'll have to give an example. Myself and Red Hawk played as the 2 smallest states that we could find in the HRE, and we were making hundreds of ducats a month. Again, I think that's going to be balanced. Hundreds of ducats a month because we would facilitate trades and just build up to have as much of a burger population as possible. Is doing us awesome? Yes, it's actually quite fun in EU5 because it's quite, you got a little bit of flavor at the start of the game. You're not large, like you got a lot of problems, but not like existential ones. And so you can kind of decide how you want to take it. It's one of the nations that like you can maneuver like as much as you want. You can try and go for a military powerhouse and control all of North Africa. You're in quite a good position to try and pull trade from the Italians if you want to start playing tool. It's interesting. Is Ottomans strong again? Ottomans are very strong at the start of the game. Very strong. You know? House there was multiplayer. Like I said, I played. I haven't had any issues. How much more viable will naval-focused nations be? More than EU4, because obviously it depends. Like if you're playing naval and you're in the middle of HRE, I can't tell you that's going to be very useful. But like there are a lot of things that the Navy can do when you're moving them around, like supply your troops, for example. So if you have control of the seas, it's going to benefit you a lot more. So there's that. The other Beyliks get similar bluffs to the Ottomans. Well, if the Ottomans get knocked down, then they can go, they can just kind of take a space. Hey, cheers, Chrissy, for the $5 Australian dollars. Hey, from Australia, I just want to say you're my favorite YouTuber to watch when I'm down, and you make my day so much better for lots of studying. I appreciate it. What are you studying? Why are you procrastinating, huh? How you feel it's gonna be nice? No. Laith, sorry to keep asking the same question about how the natural disasters work. Do you feel that impact in the game, or are they just negative modifiers? You feel everything more keenly in the game because you see your population drop, and you're like, what just happened? Why is everyone dead? You know, like up here, for example, you can see that when I was on pause, 8,000 people just died in the last month. They're like, oh, what happened? Oh yes, I fought a battle. You know, like it's that kind of thing. How do Crusades work in the game? Man, well, I'll talk more about international organizations because I see people talking about that. International organizations are stuff like this. You've got things like personal unions. They're represented like a loose collection of nations centered around a similar goal. Does that make sense? So there's that. Is there deving in EU5? Not in the same way as EU4, but there are buildings that you can build. Like, where are you? Come on. Let's see if I can show this off. There you go. There are buildings you can build. And a lot of these buildings do lots of different things. Right, from stuff like castles that are just normal forts. There are things like embassies. There are things like monasteries to help your clergy and help your literacy. And then you've got things like markets and marketplaces, market villages to help with your capacity. There are rural and urban buildings. So some buildings can be built in cities. Some can only be built in other things. MBK, you're not answering. Did you ask a question or are you just accusing me of not... Hang on. You asked me so long ago. You gotta understand, dude. There's like a couple of hundred people here. I apologize, but to be fair, I've seen it. What did you ask? How is the dynasty York now? I'm assuming you mean work. Better. No, I'll show you this. So you have your king is. I would even feel like he's obviously still important, but he's not as important as I was anticipating. Right. So I got Edward the something here. You go, third, yeah, Edward III. You have your wife, kids, that sort of stuff. So you still have a dynasty to go through, but it's not like they are the absolute fabric of your nation. How easy is it to make the Roger II Sicily paradise with full of borders? I'm so glad you asked, external. Not easy, but you can steer your nation to be more welcoming and tolerant, which is very cool. From what I've seen, it looks like the political gameplay and the economic simulation more deep and engaging in Victoria 3. This makes Victoria somewhat obsolete. I mean, obsolete in, like, I wouldn't really say obsolete because, you know, for example, you got people that still enjoy CK2 when CK3's out, you know? I would say it is, in my opinion at least, a more improved system. But it's, yeah, if that makes sense. We're going to get more interactive streams from you when EU5 releases. Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, you guys pick a nation. I got a lot of ideas for content. It's harder to record EU5, but it's also fun. So there's that. Right. What should be the first DLC to the game in your opinion? Dude, I don't even know. Well, because there's DLC and there's DLC, right? There's flavor DLCs and then there's mechanic DLCs, you know? And I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure. No Jews in the game again, lol. There are. You see represented in the population side of things. There are minorities that exist in a lot of different places. So the Jewish populace are represented like within, like across Europe, which is very cool. What do the king's stats do if mana is no longer a thing? I will show you. All right, come on. There you go. Administrative ability, diplomatic ability, and military ability. And then if you have him as a general, for example, it will do different things as well. So that's that. I don't really like EU4. Will EU5 be better? It depends what you like about, what you don't like and like about EU4, really. Did you play Tunisia at all? You think I didn't play as Tunisia? Come on, man. You think that wasn't the first nation I clicked on? Why is culture more important than EU5 compared to EU4? Why? Because culture is a more important aspect in life and history than EU4 represented it. Is war like EU4? No. War's a lot more... There's a lot more opportunity for strategic depth in war, which I really appreciate. You know? How much does the military evolve over time? A lot. A lot. Like, it's as simple as that. Is Ming playable when they break off from U1? If you switch nations, yeah. Unless you're playing as U1, then I imagine they'll probably add an option to play as. Yeah. How do you like the tech system in EU5? I think it's good. I think it's interesting. The only thing I don't like is the admin focus, diplo focus, and military focus, because you kind of have to pick your focus for the age. I feel like it should be a bit more dynamic than that, personally. How much will it cost, dude? I got nothing. I have no idea. So we talk form the Angevin Kingdom. I mean, presumably, they like their you know, they like that sort of thing. The little ultimate form of all. Out there could be Carthage in the game, chaps. I'm just saying, maybe there could be Carthage. Maybe. Should there be mission trees in your opinion? Yes, I think so. The Imperator Rome mission trees are a fantastic piece of game design. I would think they would be remiss to you know, to ignore that, personally. Where's the best country? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't played every country. What do you think? Will EU5 be the best Pirates game? Also, it's so a good country to play at the start. And why? I think if they can sort out the optimization and the balancing, then I don't think it's just going to be the best Pirates game. I think it's going to be genuinely a hallmark game for game development. It's kind of crazy how many different systems there are in this game. So we'll see. As for Serbia, yeah, Serbia is, again, I'll say it again if I need to. I'm not going to go into detail, but some people say that Serbia is a terrible nation and you shouldn't play as it. But Johan said that you should, like, Serbia is a nation that he recommends people play. Johan, if you don't know, is the big man over at game development over there. You know, it is what it is. Obviously, there are opinions. So maybe different people think different things. But I personally think that Serbia is a great nation. And Johan agrees with me. How much does the historical setting change the AI's behavior? Is that a factor in France seeming always winning the 100 Years' War? So, what they have tried to do, as far as I understand it, having spoken to devs, Red Hawk approves this message? Yeah, because he also recommended Serbia. What the devs have tried to do is they've tried to create a balance between sandbox and historical realism. What that means is, whereas in EU4 you have things like lucky nations, in EU5 you have the idea that like the Ottomans and France and these successful nations are successful because of their position, right? Because that's how they were successful in real life. But you don't want it to be a simulator. You don't want it to be the exact same thing to happen as in our timeline. And you also don't want things to go off the road. So how do you deal with it? You have this historical sandbox setting, and then you almost like put in like canon events, like the 100 Years' War, like the Rise of Timur, that kind of not steer it, but create a degree of similarity with our timeline. Chris Blake, cheers for the $5, buddy. Will trade zones with trade zones able to be reduced and expanded, could you hypothetically have a trade world conquest? That is a ridiculously interesting thought. I don't think so, because of the way the calculations will work in terms of market attraction. I don't think you would ever be able to make, for example, London so attractive that a location from halfway across the world would like to come in. So I don't think so. That's an interesting thought, though. Can you educate your residents in CK3, or will it be RNG like EU4? Yes, you can educate them. You can actually give them different focuses. So you can have, we're going to give you an admin focus, diplo focus, military focus, or you give them expensive education, which costs a lot of money, increases your cost of court, but also gives them a better education. So simple as that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Can you search advanced previous stages? As far as I'm aware, yes, and I think that you get a bonus to it. I think. I could be wrong. The problem is, like, with all of us, is that we're all like racking our heads because we're like, no, the knowledge. You know, we sat here like playing the game and super into it, and a lot of people dedicated a lot of hours. I know that a lot of the content creators that were like just dialing straight in, which meant that when EU5 went away, when it's gone, when it's taken from us cruelly by Paradox, there was kind of like, okay, what do you do now with your life? Because this was everything that we did. Oh man, can you integrate markets to destroy one in EU5? Yes, markets can be created and destroyed. It's as simple as that. How strong are the low countries? Dude, very strong. I played against Holland over here. And I was able to not beat England, because if they consolidated and gone after me, I'd have been taken out. But they landed about 40,000 troops on my shores, and with like mercenaries and levies and and being super careful and basically making use of all my money, I was able to fight them to a standstill, which is very cool. It's very cool. What are the start dates? Just 1337. The problem with other start dates is, I'll give an example. In CK3, there are 3 start dates, and they're all well fleshed out. It's not like EU4 where the bookmarks are like, hey, notionally this is what this is, but there's no buildings and nothing. It's like not as fleshed out. People still, generally speaking, will play the earliest possible start date, and that's with a lot of like custom content and flavor in later start dates in CK3. So I think the logic will probably be, well, if only a small percentage of players are going to play a later start date, why don't we just focus on this start date and make it as good as possible? So yeah, we'll see. I mean, do you think they'll do something with Kingdom Deliverance 2? I want Hungry Henry as king. Somehow, I don't think so. I'm afraid. How damaged did it feel to lose population when your levies die? I mean, it sucks. It's not like world-ending. I haven't had any like absolute stomps where my population has been wiped out, to be fair. But like, it hurts to win and it hurts to lose. It would probably hurt a lot more if you got completely wiped. But battles are deadly. I would honestly, we might see them. Okay, what I would like to see happen is, instead of there being casualties, as many casualties in battles. In fact, I'm gonna text Johan. I'm gonna text him right now. What would be cool is if there, instead of casualties, like, because let's say 6,000 men fight 6,000 men, and on one side 4,000 men die. I wouldn't want 4,000 men to be like dead, because that's a high amount. But what would have happened if you want a stack wipe is that those men would have legged it, so they go home. You know what I mean? They just run away. So the army's gone, and that population hasn't died. If that makes sense, you know. Can you say if anything about potential system requirements? I can't say anything because they haven't done optimization fully yet. So what I can say is I have a really good PC that I intentionally didn't use to make this video, because I didn't want to be like, okay, cool, I've just upgraded my PC, it has all the bells and whistles, let's see how I didn't want to do that, because it's kind of disingenuous in my opinion, for me to go, oh guys, it's running great, and I've got like a good good PC. So I still have a decent PC. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I have like a potato PC or I'm running off a toaster. But it's, you know, it's there. It's yeah. It runs slower than every other Paradise game. Best I can tell you. Crilly seems to grow very quickly, but does the cost scale to match balance its income? Like how historically colonial nations were making loads but had massive expenditure. Ooh. I don't want to say anything I'm not sure of, you know? I don't think the economy grows super quick. Like it grows decently. I think income grows quickly, but not necessarily the economy, if that makes sense, which are two different things. Yeah. You do well, Cocos' Ulm. I think from what I've heard from various sources, Wild Cocos will be very tricky. You know, it's kind of as simple as that. I've played anyone more in the East. Yeah, like Oman and that sort of area. Playing like as a trade nation around there is really fun. I enjoyed that. I played Yuan for about 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is a lot. There's a lot going on here. Simple as that. Tricky or impossible with regards to what? Sorry. The second I say something, I completely forget what I said. Yuan sounds miserable. It's less miserable, more like you have, and think about the automation system, right? There is so much going on that to run it effectively as one individual, you're gonna have to pause time. You know what I mean? If you want it to run, like you want it to like be somewhat, you know, playing, then you're gonna need to automate a good amount, I think. How viable is a militaristic mercenary company in EU5? Is it worth the money and is it sustainable? Mercenaries are stupid good. In fact, I think they're too good. Like I said, when I played this game as two tiny city-states in the HRE with Hawk. Come on, let's see if I can find... Okay, well, we won't be able to see it properly, but we were like up here. We fought Austria, the Holy Roman Emperor of Bavaria, Brabant, and also Brandenburg at the same time, and it was just us two. And yeah, we took them to town. We beat them, and we were just destroying them. It was not close because we had hired a bunch of professional mercenaries, and they were just using levies. You know, how does changing Chinese dynasties work after me? I don't know. Like this is the nature of only having 2 weeks. Like it's you know, it's hard to say. Let's see. You know what I want to do as well is I kind of want to do a couple of things. I want to go through the Reddit and see what Reddit's saying and see if you guys agree with them, because maybe there's a difference. Also, can I ask, how many of you have seen this video? Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen this. It's like a behind the scenes thing of like how we filmed it. Some have seen it, some haven't. You know, it's a 2-minute video. This is cool. I'll show you this. Just because it's a really cool thing that happened. Let's see what you think. Because to be clear, chat, this is super hype. Look at this. You're watching Paradox TV, and welcome to the outtakes. It's so cool. Oh, look at it. That's Eric. Oh yeah, I could also answer questions about like the I could answer questions about the shoot itself.
Hello everybody, Benjamin Magnus here for Paradox Interactive.
Hello,
Today
Benjamin Magnus.
Project Caesar announcement video at...
What you don't know is every couple of minutes he'd try and film B-roll and I'd go and stand in front of it to ruin the shot because I found it funny. To be clear, he found it funny as well. I wasn't just bullying his ass.
Cloister Slot, which is Shoe Cloister Castle. No one has explained
such
why
a cool
it's
castle.
called that,
So cold. It was so cold. It was so cold. How long was I there? I was there for 4 days. 3 or 4 days. With the release bloopers, there's a good amount of like behind the scenes footage. You think I messed up a take? Dude, I was scared of messing up a take because like,
I mean, it's a very
look how many
professional production as well.
Look how many people are there, right? If I mess up my words, all of those people have to reset. I was nervous the entire time. It was recorded a couple months ago. Yeah, very cool. How was it meeting the devs? Very cool because at this point, I'd been given temporary access to the game. And yeah, so what should I say here? What should I not? There were some aspersions maybe cast about like whether or not I had any hours in the game or if I knew what I was talking about. But I had access at this point, to be clear, because I needed to be able to ask questions, and so I got to play it a little bit. It was really useful for me talking to the devs because I knew, like, I spoke to the devs as if I was a player because I was desperate to know more, if that makes sense. Anyways, what do you think about the new game music? Did they make completely new tracks or they reuse some of the current ones? So the music is really cool. What happens with the music is you have 4 layers to a track, right? So if you're just chilling normally, playing, vibing, you've got one version of a track, and it scales from 1 to 4. The fourth is like the most intense one. So if there's lots of things going on, there's a high amount of APM. Like for example, Mikey, you becomes a lad, which means you should all spam lad, right? If those things happen, then you get this massive like upswell, and it's so good. There you go. Hey, look, it's Benjamin Magnus. He's here. Where's Ben in the shot? He's over here behind the camera because I'd have to look at him and be like, "Is that okay? Are you okay with that? Did we do good?"
Everyone's got their own role.
What do you think?
But
what are your opinions?
There's a sound guy, a lighting guy, and all of them are really good at what they do. So
they were very lovely.
Hello everyone, I'm Johan Andersson. I'm the studio manager of Paradox Tinto and the creative lead for projects.
I have been bothering this man since this moment about the occupations in the game. In that moment, like legit. Also, I still got it. That's the map. This is the actual map. It's so cool. Yeah, because I said that I didn't like the fact that if I have an arm, like I have, let's say, 85-90% war score, their army destroyed, their villages burned, but because I haven't occupied something on the other side of their country, I wouldn't be able to take it in a peace deal. I do feel like that's a little bit reductive, especially if you're looking at things like colonial wars. Like if I'm fighting France and I control of Brittany, they're happily going to give me parts of the New World in order to get me out of the country, if that makes sense. So it's as simple as that.
Caesar.
So who am I? I'm Laith. I make content on EU5.
It's me!
Paradox games, and I've been asked to help out with the announcement video of EU5.
A prosperous nation. But all I heard was newly conquered territories.
I mean, I guess
the curator, so cool.
Traveling around with us, obviously making sure we don't touch anything.
So he because I'd always like be on hand, be like, yo, what about this? Hey, can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about this? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll tell you about this. I'll tell you about that. So I got like an in-depth history. It was so cool.
But he's great. He's on hand for any sort of historical tidbits. Knows all of the stuff, obviously. This
room was like, there's so many weapons in this room. It's mental. And can we talk about how cold it was? It was very, very cold. And I'm wearing at this point like a linen shirt. So everyone else had like jackets and coats and that sort of thing, and I've got like the thinnest like fabric, so I was freezing.
So it's really great as someone who likes history to have people on hand. It feels like I've got like a little personal tour as I'm going around in the outfit as well.
Where's the rub?
To this day, I regret giving that outfit back. I've never felt so alive. It was, whew. Do you prefer the 1444, 1300 start date, which feels like there's more opportunity for fun? I'm nostalgic for 1444, and I think that's the case. Oh, it's not mine. I had to give it back. Obviously, I had to give it back. Like I said, I stole this. What was the hair routine for the shoot? I can actually tell you that because Jennifer was on hand. She was lovely. She was doing hair and makeup, and she was fantastic. Yeah, so I was very strict instructions. I had to obviously condition my hair like I usually do and do all these sorts of things. And then on set, she'd have to go through. It took a long time, and then we'd have to put some cream in it to get the curls right, to make sure they're bouncy, and it was a whole thing.
It's a lot more in-depth of a game, a lot more mechanics, but in a very satisfying manner. You can chase them to their core. Yeah, it's very satisfying.
That chandelier up there is the oldest. Ben, you can tell me if I'm mistaken this, but it's the oldest chandelier that's still in its original place and holding. So that was put up there and it stayed there, and it's the oldest. It's the oldest one in history that's happened. What did my girlfriend think? My girlfriend didn't know I'd done this. This is the thing, all right. So when it comes to like keeping stuff secret, I was nervous. I really didn't want because I this is confidential, right? I got told this is confidential. So my family didn't know, my girlfriend didn't know, nothing, right? When it came to me going to Sitges, none of you guys knew I was in Spain. I was there the entire time. That was the whole thing coming out. I was there the entire time. I was talking to the devs. I'd been to Sweden and filmed this, and then later on we go to Sitges to meet the devs and play the game and that sort of thing, and no one knew. I didn't say anything up until the moment I appeared on screen on the stream last week. That was it. But yeah, but like I said, my girlfriend, she didn't know. She found it very funny. Because then she got to watch everything. My family got to watch everything. They were like, huh, what's this? Because I told everyone I was going to Prague for a holiday. No one in my life knew. Actually, yeah, I mean, it's great. I took it serious. They told me, Laith, you can't tell anyone. So I didn't tell anyone. I was so like, this is another thing. I was like convinced that because obviously you see me here, right? This is me talking to Dave. Dave is in Sitges. I thought when I arrived in Sitges, I'd have to pretend I'd never met these people before. You know what I mean? Crazy.
Where you might want to start looking over the oceans.
Welcome to the armory.
That's Eric.
Living world means
Roger,
that things
librarian.
don't come out of nothing. We do have around 300
Martin
saves
Church.
in the game.
Well, Johan, I think I'm ready. Tell me everything there is to know.
How much time do you have?
In Europa Universalis 5, anything is possible. History is yours to write.
This is a fun little
One
part.
final piece of advice. Be ambitious.
It was a really fun shoot. I've never been part of anything like that before. It was really good. Making Tinto talk videos pretending it's not EU5. Bro, do you work for Paradox now or was it one time thing? I don't work for Paradox. There are people yelling outside. Is there a 1 second? I've got to go see if there's a fight. I mean, not that I'm going to do anything, but it'd be fun to watch. 1 sec. There is what can only be described as a mass brawl going on. So, yeah, simple as that. Like, what can I do? Laith about to throw hands. Nah, bro. I actually, I gotta wait because point the camera towards it. Yo, guys, look, World Star. No, like I said, the reason I've got to cut this stream short is I've got to go to jiu-jitsu later. So I want to be. This is the problem, right? I'll peel back the card. One of the reasons I don't stream that often is because I do like my MMA, jiu-jitsu, and that sort of thing. I do it in the evenings because that's when the thing's open. But most people want to watch streams in the evening, and so I can't do it because I can't do it afterwards because I'm tired. I want to go to bed, right? Who's winning? I'll tell you who's winning. I think they're just throwing things at each other now. We have a life outside of EU4. It's crazy, right? What preparation do you do to get into your character's mindset? I was like, what would Laith do? And then I did it. It's as simple as that. Any EU4 modules decided they might come to EU5. I think Antebellum said they're going to come to EU5, which I'm very excited about, which I think will be very cool. Do you get to eat the hat? No, dude. I'm actually like, there is no way I'm ever going to look as good as this. Like, my hair and makeup done, and my hair would also sometimes, my hat would slip down, right? And then Yennefer would run up and redo my hair and stuff. I felt like, what I will say is I felt really embarrassed, right? Because I had everyone running around after me, and I felt really like Ben, you can testify this, bro. I was really I felt bad, you know what I mean? Because they're like, oh yeah, let me do your hair. I'm like, no, it's fine. Oh, do you want this? No, please, I'm good. I don't want to cause any trouble, So they picked you because they didn't have to change your hairstyle. Well, yeah, sure, we'll go with that. I just had the hair for it. Means you need to hire your own hair and makeup team. I do, dude. I really do. Oh man. Where does the hair go from here? I don't know. Do I fully grow it out? But yeah, John Pirates, what are your thoughts on the missions? As I said earlier in the stream, I think that they should more closely adopt the Imperial Rome mission system. It's the best mission system in any Pirates game. I don't know if any of you are aware of the mission system in Imperial Rome, but that's peak for me. I think it's a lot better. Yeah. It's as simple as that. Benjamin, as you can tell us, he was a drama king, wasn't he? Yeah. Yeah, they had to, I refused to leave my trailer, until everything was ready. It had to be a full breakfast spread to tempt me out. Simple as that, So yeah, that was cool. Let's have a look at the Reddit and see what they're saying. EU5 exploration is bad. Is it constructive? Are we talking about like ways we could fix it, or no? It's just bad. All right. Yeah, he just doesn't like it. All right. Cool. Simple as that, I guess. Oh man, there are many Moroccans in Morocco. Okay, now that's incredible. That's a very funny title. I do understand what he's saying. Yeah, there you go. In terms of like the Arabic speakers and the Moroccan speakers, but yeah, it'll be a bit tricky to organize that. The Arabization of Morocco and North Africa more broadly was a slow, complex, and uneven process that spanned several centuries. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It is hard. It's hard to model those kinds of things, and it's also one of those aspects that, like, if you feel strongly about it because you have a connection to a particular group or ethnicity, you're going to want that represented, and you're never going to like it when it's not. You know what I mean? Being embarrassed of running after his proper English behavior. Oh yeah, well, peak English. Simple as that. Oh man. They attempted recreating Imperator type missions in the recent test build. I mean, there were Imperator type missions. Like, you select missions and you select, like, for example, build a stable cabinet or this and like that sort of thing. But a lot of the flavor from Imperator ROM, in case you didn't know, came from the mission system, because you have certain missions that give you good rewards. I felt like the missions in EU5, like, I didn't even do them, to be honest, after I started learning the game, because it didn't feel like the actual rewards themselves were worth it. No DLCs right yet. The game's not out. Why would there be DLCs? So your culture, how do you convert your country to a minority religion or culture? You promote a culture. Cabinet actions. Can the states rise up if they get too powerful? If they are upset at you, then yeah, they'll make your life hell. People will join factions, and especially if you've given them privileges that allow them to do certain things, you now can't take it away. In EU4, people tend to quit the game after losing one war. Do you see this following with EU5? This is an interesting one. I think these kinds of things, these kinds of bad things, I think in EU4 there was a bit more of an acceptance and tendency to go, well, lost the battle, I'm quitting, I'm restarting. Whereas in EU5, bad things happen, and you have to kind of learn to roll with it in the same way that, like, if people play CK3, and when their ruler is about to die, they execute all their other kids, and they only have one kid to, like, force primogeniture so that their realm doesn't get broken up. I'm not saying, like, you can, if that's how you enjoy the game, that's how you enjoy the game. But I feel like EU5, if you're the kind of person that enjoys, my realm broke apart, let me figure out, let me put it back together. Let me now enjoy this guy's story. I'm now playing as this person with this mentality. I think that it's going to be a lot more enjoyable for the player, if that makes sense. As John Powers, the situation actually fleshed out, as new situations being started semi-dynamically. I think the situations, if like, I think they need a little bit of tweaking, but I think they add a good amount of regional flavor, and I feel like they went for mechanic flavor, regional flavor, and now they're going to start looking at country-specific flavor. Why am I struggling to open my own water bottle? There you go. Well, EU5 had Danes? No, coefficients are removed. Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry, man. It's all good. They don't. Danes do exist, but when the belts freeze over, you can just walk over and hit them. That is true. That's something that's really cool. When it's winter and things freeze over, you can march your army across ice. But then if you're still there, by the time that winter ends and the ice melts, well, there goes your army. The price will be around 60. Dude, I don't know. When it comes to, like, marketing or release dates or that sort of stuff, or how the company's going to do this and that and the other, you got to understand, I don't work for Paradox. I just like the games that they make, and they will work with me occasionally. But I couldn't tell you what the idea is. I could speculate if you'd like, but I don't know if that would be very useful for any of us. Simple as that, really. Is there anyone started? Yes, there is. Simple as that. but you did work for Paradox. With. Doing for. With. I'm not salaried. I was contracted to make the thing. They will sponsor videos of mine, you know? Did they did they pay you? Just said I was contracted. I like here's the thing. One thing I will say is there was a lot of problems in the Discord, like in the Reddit, where they were like, these guys, look, they were all sponsored. They might not have said it, but they were all paid. Like, this sometimes feels like there's a conspiracy surrounding Paradox and how they, like, and whether or not we're paid to do things. You know what I mean? Is 100 Years War in EU5? Yes, there is. It's a whole ass situation. Is there any video about army tactics and logistics? Is there any where I can check the impact of different formations of professional armies? I'm not sure there is. Maybe I should make one. That could be fun. Again, the problem is the further we get from the actual gameplay, the less we're going to remember. You know what I mean? Like, peak time was the videos were released and the videos the day after. Now we're going to start to have things like leave our heads, you know? Was you paying exposure? No, I was paid for it. I was paid for it. Like, Paradox are decent. They didn't pay me an exposure, no. I did work. They paid me for it. Simple as that. Make notes. Now, this was an interesting discussion, actually, that some of us had. Do we make notes? Yes and no. So some of us did, some of us didn't. The problem is, do you make notes on something that is going to change? There's a smell of weed around here. I think it's... Let me double check. The entire group of people that were fighting are now all smoking weed together. Oh, it's so good. Oh, that's so good. Oh, man. I no longer live in London. I'll say that. That's crazy. I didn't try playing Australia, I'm afraid. No. We had a limited amount of time. Yeah. So, as simple as that. Is there a way to automate everything? You could basically change your start date. That's interesting, that. It wouldn't look like but the problem is with the change of start date is that it wouldn't look like the world did in 1500, you know? It'd be basically impossible. How do you feel about the EU5 stability system? Feels too abstract and becoming the new mana to hoard and spend. Well, it's similar to Imperator Rome if you ever played that. I prefer it personally because it's scaled from minus 100 to 100. I think players see zero stability and they're like, you know, it's a problem. But I like the idea that you invest money into creating increasing your stability. I think that makes a lot of sense. You know. Yeah. I do appreciate. I think it's better. Obviously, people have different opinions. Did you try Bengal? I didn't. I'm afraid no. Seriously though, please talk about the hordes. They're my favorite, and no one has mentioned them. Is it the conspiracy you mentioned? No, it's not a conspiracy. It's just they're not as they weren't as stable or well fleshed out. Like they're going to like they're working on them. From what I saw, the Golden Horde rose and fell. Like you had the White Horde or like Chagatai or whatever, like overtake them. Kazan, for example, cuts into them. Yeah, I can't really comment too much on hordes because I didn't really try them too much. I had a look around, I had a nose around, but not enough to really form an opinion that I'd feel comfortable putting my name to. Okay, Darren, just a two quid, mate. Won't content dry out without mission trees? Now, there's someone who can only enjoy flavor if he's told this is flavor. Now, I'm kidding. I think it's interesting to see new EU4 players versus old EU4 players. You got to remember back in the day, right? In EU4, there were no mission trees. You had missions that were given to you that were dynamic. That like you had 3 missions that like you got option, you select one, you try and complete it. Sort of like estate agendas. That's how the mission system was. So when you say won't content dry out without mission trees, E4 was enjoyable and fun well before mission trees. I think mission trees add a good degree of flavor, but I don't think that mission trees are necessary for a dynamic game. Sometimes I would even say mission trees. If you take 50 different people and they play as a nation in EU4, they will generally follow the mission tree because of the bonuses it gives you. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's an interesting thing because they will roughly play this in a similar manner, unless they intentionally do something different. So you know, it depends. You can also say, well, why don't you just ignore the mission trees? Sure, but I like mission trees because I like having stories play through. Theodore, absolutely, and that's why I do play with mission trees. I'm just merely pointing it out. I'm not really saying in one way or the other right now. To be honest, my personal belief is the nice middle ground is the Imperator missions. I think it would be good. It's like a pick your own story thing versus, hey, here's the kinds of things that you can be doing. Yeah, but the constant mission trees are better like focuses like HoI4. HoI4 and EU4 are different games. Mission trees are focus trees. They both have the word tree in them, but I think they're fundamentally different systems. Is Ottoman still OP? Yes. But that also makes sense. Like 1337, you got the Rise of the Ottomans, you know? So was that opinions on EU5 and Banar? I don't know. I don't know how that would, you know. I'm sure they'll port it over. Anbanar is one of the best mods in EU4. I'm sure they'll continue it. You know. Does Ruthenia have any EU content? I couldn't tell you. It's one of the limiting factors, isn't it? Most places in EU4, you give me a nation, I can tell you if it's got flavor or not, but I just don't have enough. Will EU5 become top-selling Paradox game? You know, I don't see any reason why it couldn't be. If the problems are fixed, yeah, go on then. Why not? Favorite country plays EU4, what would be in EU5? Okay, so this is interesting because my favorite country in EU4 is Tunis, whereas my favorite country plays in EU5 is Tunis. I can tell you some other ones that I enjoy if you want. Both in EU4 and EU5. Have you tried multiplayer? Yep, played a little bit with Hawk. It was stable. I think it was fine. You know, I think it was, I think we're good. Do you think we're good to have disallowed peace deal options instead of having war score costs scale with the choice of CB? That's a fundamentally different system. It's interesting. I don't think so, though. You found a Carthagena? Yeah. Obviously. Like, you hear I think the police have just been called to the fight. That's a damning indictment of police response time in the area. Christ. I sense a bit of bias? No. No. What? Me? The Roman Empire formable? I would be shocked if they didn't. Like, this is something I want to say. I hope they re-implement EU4 snobbish writing. Abso-goddamn-lutely. That'd be great. I really hope so because it did feel like very presumptuous in EU4. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. 21 minutes ago. Look, Dev Diary. There you go, Tinta Talks. Hey, we're talking about Europa Universalis 5, like I said. Let's go. You know what, chaps? Let's go through this latest Tinta Talk, shall we? Look at that. I don't know, I wish I could say I've timed it. All right, what we're looking at. The 3 religions born in India: Hinduism, Jainism, and Sikhism. Okay, so this is good because religious flavor is something that people were talking about. Okay, let's go through. As usual, take all 2D, 3D, and UI stuff as work in progress. Fair enough. Just gonna click record just in case I'm making it into a video. All right, so Hindu. So one thing I do appreciate about the religious maps is that and all the maps to be fair, there's stripes to show that okay, this is very dominantly Hindu here, but there's a little bit of you know, a little bit of summon, you know. How convenient, almost like Laith planned it. I wish I had. It would make me a lot smarter. But there you go. In fact, chat, shall I make it into a video? Just spam hi YouTube, I guess. Just go on then. I'll check into the video. For those of you watching at home, I'm currently streaming. And the Dev Diary happened to pop up. And so we're going to look at it with the chat. And also, they can tell me intelligent observations that I can then claim for myself. Cheers, lads. All right. Hinduism and Jainism. Interesting feature in the religious map mode. By hovering over a certain religion in the religious breakground, you can check the spread and a heat map instead of religion. Very cool. All right. For context, does everyone know what Jainism and Hinduism are? Or should I give you a little breakdown? You know what? Let's go through it. Hinduism is a collection of different beliefs rather than a unified religion. Hinduism is often considered the oldest religious tradition in the world. All beliefs and practices understood as the explanations of Dharma, the cosmic order. It stems from the ancient Vedic literature. Being so varied, it also contains a multitude of gods, though not all of them are equally venerated or even recognized by all Hindu practitioners. It's actually something that people commonly mistake in sort of when talking about Hinduism in the modern day. Jainism, one of the oldest religions. Jainism is an Indian Dharmic religion focusing on the attempt at self-realization and liberation from the cycle of death and rebirth. It centers in non-violence. Okay, so you can see that we've got some perks here. So religious figures allowed +1, tolerance to true faith +1, tolerance for heathen beliefs +1. Whereas Jainism cannot declare war without a casus belli. Oof. Allows karma to impact the nation, so it has its own mechanics. Enables self-control, yes. Alright. Chat's not able to control themselves, so don't look at the Jainism. Monthly literacy, that's great. Monasteries allowed cool and cannot declare war without casus belli. That's very interesting. Very, very cool. So, for those of you wondering at home, there is individual religious flavor. There are over 300 different religions. The big part of that is, obviously, that is not 300 completely individual religious mechanics, but there are 300 different religions that exist in the game. Obviously, something like Hinduism and Catholicism is going to be very different, and they're going to have different mechanics, if that makes sense. How do I enable self-control for myself? There's an option in settings when you're born. You didn't select it? Okay, moving on. There you go. Hinduism. There are currently 100 million Hindu pops in the world at the start of the game. I imagine that's the start of the game is what he's talking about. Breaks it down. Cool. Then we've got the society. Which nation belongs in every run? Ottomans. For the most part. British unity, primary religion tolerance, tolerance of heretics, tolerance of heathens, the holy sites, and the conversion rate. Yeah, culture, religion, and that sort of thing it's almost its own like struggle mechanic in EU5. Culture is something that wasn't really touched on by a lot of us. In fact, I won't make those kind of statements. I didn't touch on it that much. And there is a cultural mechanic in EU5 which determines the power difference between two different cultures, how easy it is for those two to assimilate, and things like work of arts help play into that. So, yeah. Ooh. Join branch, activate avatar, deactivate avatar. The first thing to talk about is Hindu branches, which appear as an icon and action in the panel. Oh, God, I'm not going to be able to pronounce these, and everyone's going to say I'm on culture and laugh at me. You see the sun starting to come down and make me like change race. Alright, the start of the stream I was Tunisian, by the end of it I'm English. It's the two halves of me battling for dominance. This is the problem. Like, if there's ever like an IRL culture war, I'm screwed, boys. What do I do? Well, I pick a side? Not gonna accept me. If we devolved into culture, if we're going to to race wars, you know what I mean? I'm done. I'm done. What do I do? Who do I join? Do I join the English or Tunisians? If I join the English side, they'll be like, yo, no, you're Tunisian. Join the Tunisian side, they say you're English. That already happens right now when I try and integrate within England or integrate within Tunisia. You know, so it's a bit of a problem. Anyway, Vaishnavism. International organizations, so religions are sort of treated like international organizations as well as having their own mechanics, chaps. You've got the different member states of it, and a branch of group of traditions and beliefs and held inside Hinduism, giving prominence to one or more specific gods. So this is a subset of Hinduism. Cool. 4 branches of Hinduism, each one's represented through an international organization. So for those of you curious, that's how these kinds of things are managed. Serbia, when I was playing Serbia, you have an event at the start of the game. That means that you become an empire if you conquer parts of the Byzantine Empire and form the Serbian Empire. If you do that, you actually create your own little Orthodox variant. And so you have your own international organization, if that makes sense. We have Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shaktism, and Smartism. When you click on a Hindu or international organization, each one has its own panel. Yeah, the art in this game is so good. I will say, let's say you click on a location. The art you see is dependent on the culture and how developed that location is and where that location is. If it's next to a river, for example. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Why don't you think the start date is a bit odd given the fact that Golden Horde might be unstoppable? I've seen it collapse a lot. Okay, in Agenda, which is a common building block for different religions, you have a religious law set for each branch that defines its mechanics. So you have the different religious laws which are like, will give different benefits analysis. So Here's one for Vashanism. Avatars allowed +3 when implemented none. Is the hint? So yeah, that's a policy. I think. Does everyone understand it? Everyone understand what a policy is? Are we all happy with that? Can we move on? I'm just like I'm educating a class. Are we all happy with this class? Anyone struggling, or shall I move on? Yeah, are we good? Nested tooltips. There's a tooltip for God. Finally, dude. I'm just saying. Pope gets new Pope gets announced the same day that EU5 gets announced, and now EU5 has a nested tooltip for God. You connecting these things? Huh? 1 + 1 = 2. All right, allows the country to activate as many 3 avatars of the god Vishnu, depending on how access to one of its holy sites. Very cool. Let's see, and that'll give you bonuses like hostile attrition plus 0.5. Okay, cool, and you got lots to pick from there. Choose the avatar to pick to turn active. So you need to own the holy site to do that. I like it. It gives you another reason to launch towards a different location. Sort of like CK3 vibes of holy sites. Or Coptic EU4. You would conquer towards the Coptic sites because they're going to give you the bonuses. Monthly run will go for ports. Enable self-control. I'm not going to lie, I don't know what self-control is. Here we go. Immediately, I'm told. It's a mechanic. Okay. We have self-control. At 0, we get the following bonuses. Above 10, we would get food cost, annexation cost, stability investment, rural migration attraction, monthly progress to spiritualist. Self-control below, so okay, -10. Maximum tax modifier, pop food consumption, income from vassal subjects. Okay, cool. So it's a self-control mechanic, like almost like karma in EU4. This goes almost like the other. Nice. Laith is too weak for me. Do you think the same? I kind of, yeah, to be honest, I think I need to rebalance that. Are you going to play Half-Sword? Already have. I have an unreleased video. Should I release it? I don't know. I wasn't sure if I was happy with it, so I haven't released it yet. Alright, you can gain or lose self-control by performing these actions. Join branch, perform yoga, indulge in feats, discard worldly possessions, or engage in blah blah. Okay, sure. What does that mean, huh? Engage in bloodbath. Kill our enemies. We're at war. We get 5 antagonisms, so aggressive expansion, centered on Trolan, so centered on province, and you lose -15 self-control. Yeah, I imagine so. If you're indulging in a bloodbath, I would find that is the very definition of of losing control. All right, Shaktism. It's a policy of the tradition law. Avatars allowed +1. So then you get another avatar. Okay, cool. It's only allows you to have 1 avatar at a time out of 10 possible in 5 in peace times and 5 in war times. By declaring war, stopping war makes you change from an avatar one category to a category of the other. Cool. It's a randomly assigned, but you can change them. The main difference is you don't need to have access to a holy site. Okay, so when you... So it costs stability, but you can change your avatar quite easily. That's nice. I like that. Ganesha. Yeah, this is very cool. Alright, there's a lot more flow, because I'm not going to lie, I was concerned about the religion side of things, given they said +300. Has any YouTuber played game to the final age? I understand that people tend to focus on the game one more, but what about the late game love? Well, I'll tell you what, Conrad. When you play, you can play that. I think somehow I couldn't name names. Yeah, I played a decent amount into the game, but yeah, my focus was definitely on the early game versus the late game, to be honest. Like, we only had 2 weeks. There's no point me playing a game all the way till the end over and over again. You know what I mean? Like, I want to try and do, okay, let me play this station. Let me try this out. Let me try this out. And at the same time, we have a Discord where you like report. We'll sort of like highlight some things and problems we have and issues we have. And oftentimes I'm like, okay, well, what do I like? Because you've got to adopt the mindset that I'm adopting here. Or like, let me explain the mindset I'm adopting. I want this game to be as good as possible. And let's take the fact that I really appreciate everyone's work over at Tinto and Parrots in general. It was lovely working with everyone. But let's take all that out of the way. Let's say I don't actually like them all. I hate them all. And I don't want them to succeed. Even then, it's in my best interest as a content creator for the game to be as good as possible. Right? So I'm going to be focusing on trying to collate as much feedback as possible, trying to help them out as much as possible for purely self-interested reasons, let alone the fact that I want it to succeed, you know? So let's just, it's a case of that. So a lot of the times I was diving in to see what would be fun and trying to make recommendations based on that versus just trying to play the game to see what was there, if that makes sense. Do you ever worry about negatively influencing the game unknowingly? What does that mean? Like telling people not to like buy or something? I'll be real, dude. I'll give my honest opinion. This is something that I'm very adamant at with regards to EU5 because again, I want it to be as good as possible. There's no point me yes manning it, is there? Because then the game's going to release and it's going to be bad. Promoting Aeryka, it seems good at first but bad later on. From what I've played of EU5, I enjoy it. I would prefer to play EU5 right now than EU4, and that's kind of where I can be at. There are a lot of problems. I think there's the analogy I used was, imagine you have a room and I smash up your room. Like you're able to do the big stuff first, like put your table back up, like put your chair back up, and it visually when you walk into the room, the difference is massive. But then there are like tiny little things that also matter that take as much time as the big stuff. And that's kind of, I think, the stage that they're at where there's 1,001 tiny little things that need changing. There's a military jet. Did the Russians finally do it? I'm gonna ignore that. If these are my last words, then let me make them quick. Quick, Laith, quick! So basically, when it comes to the features and problems in EU5, I think optimization definitely needs to happen. Individual country flavor needs to happen. The UI needs tweaking, definitely needs more shading, and overall improvements to that sort of thing are important. So there you go. All right, going back to this. I think it's just explaining how karma works, which is very cool. Discipline demands reputation. I mean, that's a similar system to EU4. We've got Sikhism that appears after 1509. Cool. We got some religious figures. And that's, by the way, an ability to switch faiths right there, because I know some of you were talking about it. Alright, losing 20 stability is actually not that rough. Like, for context, you go from minus 100 to 100. In EU4, I think you lose 4, is it? Stability, or 3? Only losing 20 is really not too bad. Like, that's only twice as... And this is a couple of things. I think for each individual little decision stuff, things need to be weighted. Losing only 20 stability for converting to Sikhism, when you lose 10 stability for changing an avatar. Like, when it comes to the economy of stability, maybe I think it needs a little bit of work. So, yeah. This is cool, though. Custom buildings. Oh, there you go. Convert religion 50 stability. That's better. And it was just because it was the event-based stuff. Very cool. And you got a government reform of Crilly leadership, blocked from conversion. Cool. Create new international organization. To be fair, I think Sikh was probably the best religion for the format of international organizations, because they were like, not to tell you everything about Sikhism because I don't know too much myself, but they were like different gurus, and they almost have like very clear stratification of things. So then this one goes, yeah, cool, build on that. Now we're going to do this as well, you know? One of the reasons I think you should only be able to take territory occupied is because the area is too stupid to make local decisions with the territory they give and take. I don't know about that. Because, like, let's say I want something on the other side of them, right? Let's say I'm playing as Serbia and I want to take Constantinople because it's like the heart of what I want. As a player, I want it. I wouldn't be able to, you know what I mean? Like that, if that makes sense. Constantinople was a bad one because it's a capital. So, but let's say I want to take, I'm playing as Venice and I want to take certain ports. If I occupy a lot of your nation, you should give me like Gibraltar, for example. Like, I think it does make sense. I think this is cool. Holy sites, different holy sites for all religions and branches in the case of Hinduism. Cool. So holy sites give gold and also possible clerics and prosperity. Very cool. From Pavia. He's a lovely, lovely, lovely individual. Look at that. But since EU5 is not available, will EU4 receive any updates? In the meantime, wait for the successor. I'd be very surprised. Why? Why? Why would you? I'd rather they focus on EU5. You know? Do you not think? Let's see. In EU5, do you think in EU5 the Europeans will actually manage to colonize India? In EU4, they never manage. It's an interesting one because when you think like, when you think about how that actually came about in terms of like the colonization or conquest of India, it's a historical paradox. It's weird, you know? Like India at the time when the Europeans showed up was more powerful, and the Mughals were more powerful, richer, and more technologically advanced in a lot of ways than the Europeans that turned up. You know? So, yeah. Laith without facial hair kind of looks like Zendaya. What are you watching? What, like, bro, should have gone to Specsavers. Damn. Thoughts on the Reconquista? Reconquista just in general? Is there a Isn't it just a Reconquista? Would you mean Reconquista like Granada conquering it? Just thoughts on how hard it is? Jesus or Zendaya? Really? Laith is Tom Holland's girlfriend. Yeah. I didn't want to announce it, but my girlfriend doesn't know. Don't tell her. Maybe if you have less than 50% war score, you can only take what you control, but more than 50% you can take whatever you want since they're broken. But you see how we're getting to like conditionals, which I really don't think is necessary. Like if something is strategically important to me, right, but it's only worth like a couple of percentage in war score, but I, the player, want it, I should be able to take it. Because it is that idea that, okay, would you, like, because also oftentimes the AI would be willing to give it to you, you just haven't occupied it. You know? It is a little bit problematic. So, yeah. What's happened with the weed fighters? I think they've all gone now. I'll check. They've all moved on. There's no one there now. Simple as that. Can players stop canon events like Tim or the Rise of Tim or the Ottomans? I imagine maybe. I couldn't tell you. Like my instinct to say no, but then it would make like I think the 100 Years War you're never gonna stop. Ottomans, Rise of the Ottomans happens at the start of the game, so again it wouldn't be possible. But I assume there's triggers, right? Whole occupation war score topic is quite divided. Yeah, between people who are right and people who are wrong. I'm one of the people who are right. I feel like occupying should make it easy to take, not necessarily the AI would accept anyway. I would do the opposite. I would make it, if you don't occupy it, it is more expensive to take in a peace deal because you are trying to take something that you don't occupy. But you still should be able to do it. You know what I mean? Is the real map of EU5? Yeah, this is it. You know? Can you form with a girlfriend in EU5? Only if you play as a Sam. Does Laith have any release date theories, or is that too much of a hot scoop? I can tell you now that I don't have any clue at all. I'm hoping it's this year, but that's not based off of any information that I have. I'm telling you everything I know because I'm allowed to tell you everything that I know. If I told you, if I had a release date that was confirmed to me, then yeah, I would say, because I'd be able to tell you. But I don't know. I don't know. I'd hope by the end of the year, but one thing I do know is that they want to make it as good as possible. You know, they want to make sure it's polished. And so I think, hopefully, my hope is that it will release when it is ready to be released. His current girlfriend is Sam girl. Yeah, we moved in together. For those who don't know, my current girlfriend is half Assamese, and I played as a Sam in EU4 to impress her, and it worked. And like 2.5 years on, we moved in together. So. Play grand strategy games, chaps. Play grand strategy games. Simple as that. Simple as that. Current girlfriend. Well, yeah, because the implication, if I say my girlfriend at the time, the implication is that she's not now. You know, was that already like 2 years ago? Yeah, it was 2 years ago. It was a while ago. And you know what? We'll peel back that curtain a little bit. On our like, I say first date. It wasn't like upon first meeting her, because we essentially just bumped into each other and I invited her for a dog walk. We didn't know each other like prior to that. Is England powerful? How? Yes, it is. It has a good amount of levies, a good amount of income, and it has a fantastic navy. Just say your girlfriend. Fine, my girlfriend. Yeah. So when we met, like I invited her on a dog walk. And yeah, we were walking around for a long time. And I got a couple of rules on like, because obviously it then turned into it. I got a couple of rules, chaps. You know. I won't talk about grand strategy games. You know, and I won't talk in depth about history because I'll just keep talking. Anyway. Okay, well, at one point we get to this bar thing, and like she goes and gets like, she was like, right, I'm gonna go buy you a drink. I was like, thank you. So she bought me a Coke Zero, and she sits down and goes, because I'd mentioned something, because she'd asked me something like, oh, you know, like what are you like history would come up as an interest, and I didn't say anything else. And she was like, oh, what's an interesting period of history? And I was like, oh well, you know, I studied like the First Crusade, and it's like a wacky adventure. I was done. About 10 minutes later, she goes and gets the drinks, comes back, sits down and goes, so, you're going to tell me about the First Crusade then? I was like, absolutely. And so we sat down and discussed the First Crusade, the historical paradox of the conquest of India. We discussed the Sengoku period of Japan. That was like, yeah, most of it. Simple as that. Yeah, she's also a massive, like, what I'm going to do is, like I said in my recent video, I've got a Python script that'll scrape the comments of videos. I'm gonna wait a little bit, and I'm gonna scrape all of the comments from all of the videos that have been made about EU5. Then I'm going to get, like, it's gonna be put into an Excel file, and then I'm gonna give that to her, and she's like massive Excel nerd. So yeah, go and do that. But you know, I gotta ask nicely, because I introduced her to like jiu-jitsu and that sort of thing, and she's better at me. She's better than me now. So yeah, it's cool, because most nights we'll go to, I don't know why I'm telling you guys about my life, this is weird, but yeah, most nights we'll go to like do MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff together. That's also why I can't stream, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna go do combat sports. It's, you know, it's fun. So simple as that. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to more EU5 stuff. We do parasocial from time to time. We do a little bit of parasocial, huh? We do a little bit of, but I do can't stream getting beat up, honestly. Yeah, I do want to stream more, chaps. I think I'm gonna put a stream schedule together where I'd probably stream around this time, because it's a convenient time for me, because like, you know, I can head off and go and do MMA and stuff. The recording's done. I can go and do MMA and everything else in the evenings. You know. I wake up because what I do is I wake up at 6 a.m. and I go for a run. So I get more recordings done early. So for example, today I recorded an Austria game, because I haven't played Austria in a long time, right? In EU4, and then you know I can stream. I'm thinking what I'll do is record a video or two in the mornings, get those done, and then stream in the afternoon. I could also turn that into a video, and then I can go to like MMA and stuff in the evening, you know? Ways to go running with me? I could try. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with you, Lady Magnus, for sure. We'd be answering YouTube comments. Yeah, and I'm also scraping the data. Like I'm gathering up. I'm going to fly to Sitges and present like a Manila document, you know, like those things, and just hand it off to you and be like, here's the data, and then leave. That's the plan. Is it change the climate simulator, or is the climate the same every winter and such? That's interesting. I think there is. Like, there's normal winters, severe winters, and that sort of stuff. Is obviously dependent on where you are. So there's that. Do you know if Paradox is interested at all in a public beta to get more feedback? That's on Paradox, man. I have no idea. I don't know. I really don't. So yeah. Simple as that. How do non-European institutions get non-Europeans get institutions without deving? Curious on how I plan to balance that to make it too easy. Europeans can't achieve technological advantage, and too hard won't be fun. Well, actually, for example, one of these institutions you get at the start of the game, or that you don't have if you're in Europe. Let's see. Do I have Red Hawk's video here? Let's have a look. Is it this one? This video's doing really well. Shout out Hawk. I think it shows off technology. But anyway, one of the things you get at the start of the game is meritocracy. Like, that is over in China, but Europe doesn't have it, you know? So it's as simple as that. Laith is not subbed to the Red Hawk. Listen. Listen. We can keep this between us. Okay? We don't have to say nothing. Alright? Alright? Chaps? Alright, we're just gonna, you know, I'll leak EU5. You know? I'll do it. I'll do it. Alright, how about this? I'll give you all a copy of EU5, keep your mouth shut, bet. That's fine. That's fine. Alright, that seems good to me, okay? You already told him, why would you... Alright, that's it. No more leaks. He explained. That's fine. Watch him DM me now. I gotta check my DMs. We'll have to see. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, well, you know, that's fun. That's fun. But yeah, look, I got hearts. We got hearts together. You know? We got hearts. I like him. Look, okay, look, he hearted my comment, alright? We're friends. Alright, we're friends. Dark mode's killing my eyeball. I don't know how to do dark mode. Alright, we're good. We're good. We're buddies. We're boys. Simple as that. Simple as that. Alright, I'm gonna, yeah, alright. We'll rapid fire some questions and then we'll wrap it up so I can start getting ready for the jits. Let's see. Is there any reason why there are diamonds for only some of the countries visible on the map at a time? Those are going to be capitals. So that's why there was only some of them. So on this thing right here, these are all capitals. And then when you zoom in, there'll be forts as well. You know? Will it be Jiu-Jitsu in EU5 or EU percentage? No. I'm afraid so. There's none. What do you think about the colonization mechanic in EU5? I don't really... I don't feel well versed enough to give an opinion. I don't want to sit here and be like, it's good or it's bad on the basis of what I feel like is limited playtime when it comes to the colonization mechanic. I play a lot of other things. I tend to not enjoy colonizing in EU4, so I guess naturally I didn't do it as much in EU5. I had a look at it, don't get me wrong. I played around with pretty much every mechanic in the game. So I did look at it, but I just don't know that I feel confident enough to influence anyone's opinions on that matter or give an informed opinion, if that makes sense. You know? $5. Do you think it'll be a massive achievement like recreate Rome again? If so, what would be your dream achievement? Reforge the Carthaginian Empire, obviously. You know, simple as that. Now, the fun thing, you talk about achievements, and cheers for the $5. I really appreciate it. One thing that's interesting is because, if those of you who don't know, I have Parabellum with Hawk and Midgeman, where we host, we recently did a CK3 one, but we host EU4, like, 1v1 challenges, right? For example, have the most do this the most amount of times. The next one's coming up in June, in case you didn't know. So, well, yeah, it's actually really, we're not that far out. Damn. We're really not that far out of the next series of EU4 Hegemon. And depending on when EU5 releases, this could be the last one. Who knows? I'll have to see. But yeah, like, we're really excited to do it for EU5. Really excited to do it for EU5 because there's so many different things that we can play with, and so many different mechanics that I think it'd be a lot of fun to see. Especially at the start, because we're gonna have people that, like, obviously haven't got, like, Flori's got tens of thousands of hours in the game in EU4. He's not gonna have that in EU5. Simple as that. Just $2. Will there be DLC for custom nations characters? I wish I could tell you. I don't know anything about DLC policy. I know that a lot of people enjoy custom nations. It would be great to see if they do include custom nations, but I don't know how well it's going to intertwine with the current system. Any chance they bring the start date forward? No, the start date is going to be locked in stone. I'd be very surprised if they changed it at all, because the entire game is based off of it. So, no. You know, I really don't think so. Let's see. Are formal nations locked behind silly stuff like Reach Admin Tech 20? I don't think so. They could be. The formal nations that I saw aren't. But they are locked behind things like, hey, you can form Europa. And that's going to be ridiculous, you know? I think EU5 is going to release before GTA 6. GTA 6 is releasing when? May? Do I think it's going to be in the next year? think maybe. I think there's a chance, you know? I can be a GTA 6 channel. I can play some GTA 6, why not? That'd be fun. Hoping for Cascadia content. Why? How many gigs of the game? I don't know. Again, everything's going to change on release. As simple as that, you know? Alright, I think this is where we are going to call it today, chaps. Bear in mind, please do like the stream and leave the comment. It really does help me out. I'm going to be scraping the stream comments, my videos comments, and every other comments for data. And I'm going to do like a really in-depth, like, I think maybe like, I might do a stream where I get dressed up in a suit, turtleneck, and like glasses, and do like a Steve Jobs type presentation of like the data I found. I think that could be a lot of fun. Otherwise, I'm looking to stream a lot more, so if you haven't already joined the Discord, please do give me suggestions about the kind of stuff you want to see. I'm excited to stream. I don't know what I'm going to stream, but I know I'm going to stream for fun. So it's as simple as that. Yeah, I appreciate everyone's support. I think we've got some really cool with EU5 so far. I think we're all really hyped up on it, but we're now going to have to understand that content surrounding EU5 is probably going to start to dwindle a little bit. Obviously, what the weekly dev diaries, but it's going to start to dwindle as we, you know, as we get away from this sort of explosion that we've had, which is very, very, very interesting. Thank you all for watching, chaps, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.